Man, if you want to lose some weight, spend some time in the same hospital I did. Dude, I lost like 6 kilograms. How about that blended meat? Oh boy. To say that it feels good to be back is an understatement, man. 10 days. 10 days in the hospital. First of all, thank you very much to all of you for the comments, the wishes, everything. I really appreciate that. Really helped me out. I don't want to complain too much because at the end of the day, I'm all patched up. I'm okay. Like, I'm feeling good now. But boy, that was not the best experience I've ever had. Since I didn't upload for like 10 days, I guess I owe you guys an explanation on what happened. So basically, right after I uploaded this video, at 3 a.m. probably, I got this crazy pain in my stomach. Like, it literally felt like I was getting stabbed. But I didn't want to go to the hospital, man. It happened before once a couple of years ago. You know what helped? Sparkling water. So I waited until 6 a.m. I live in a very small town, and there is another small town like 7 kilometers away. So I waited until 6 a.m. in absolute pain, jumped into my car, got some sparkling water, didn't help. I'm dying, don't know what to do. Finally, 8 a.m., called an ambulance. They gave me, they said, a horse dose of medicine or something like that. Didn't help. So they were scared. They got me into the hospital. Now, the nearest big city is 50 kilometers away. And that hospital is known as not one of the best hospitals. Let's just say that. Whatever, I got into the hospital and they're doing a bunch of, tests. They were giving me medication, but it felt like they just didn't give a shit. It was my appendix, by the way, so you gotta react fast because if it breaks, you can die because all that shit gets into your organs and stuff. Well, they didn't know that. I didn't know that either because my stomach hurt. So after some blood tests, other tests, they're like, everything seems to be fine or whatever. And after 5 hours, man, I didn't sleep for over 24 hours. I was like, okay, it doesn't even hurt that much because I was on so much medication. I didn't feel half the pain. So I made a huge mistake. I went home. 2 hours later, I'm dying. We drive back to the hospital. More tests, more medicine. Like, I was basically surviving on painkillers or whatever they're called, man. It's really hard to make a video in English for me on that topic, Test after test after test. Eventually, they find out it's my appendix. And the first time I got into the hospital, it was like 10 a.m. maybe. I got my operation at around 1 a.m. So everything went smoothly. They drug you out, you don't feel a thing, whatever. It's great. I'm thankful. Unfortunately, I got some complications. I got high temperature. There was something wrong with my blood. So I spent 10 days, man, and during these 10 days, lots of weird shit happened, basically. Weird coincidence. I was in the same room with another man who had the same last name. I was in the 9th room, and in the 10th room, there was literally a guy with the same name and the same last name. There's like 2 of us in the country. What a coincidence, right? For the most part, people are nice, There's a lot of things to complain about, obviously. Like, there is no shower. There are hundreds of people and, like, just a few showers, whatever. It looked very old. It looked like it barely changed since 1970 or something, man. The food was horrible. I wasn't that hungry anyway, so that wasn't a big problem. I basically survived on water. And the room was way too small for 3 people. Like, there was no air. My biggest complaint was that it really takes a lot of time for them to react, man. Like, it could have gone so much worse. Some of the nurses were really nice. I was the youngest one, so they were kind of treating me like a kid, There was one big problem, and now I know I was right when I got back home, so let me explain. They always measure your temperature. Now, I really cared about that because I felt good, but when they measure my forehead temperature, it was always way too high. Like, sorry for European numbers, but basically 36.6 is like the perfect one. Anything above 37.2, I believe, is bad, right? When I measured my armpit temperature, it was always good. 36.5, 6, whatever. Then they measure my forehead temperature, it's almost 38. And I knew something's wrong because I felt good. Like, for the first 6 days, I felt horrible, but then I felt fine. Like, the high temperature is not the only reason they kept me in here, but that was one of the reasons, right? So I cared. and I felt good. So I was like, something's wrong right here. And some nurses understood. They measured my forehead temperature, my armpit temperature, and all good. Then we got this bitch, man. Oh, such a horrible person. I was like, oh, by the way, can I just measure my... And she was like, I don't care. I write what I need to. As far as I'm concerned, you can write your temperature on a little piece of note for all I care. What a bitch, man. What a bitch. Turns out I was right, man. I have the same one at home. I got back home, measured it. It's perfect. So the whole time they had a broken thermometer. I don't know. Weird stuff. Anyway, everything was going fine for the most part. You know, it's really inconvenient. There is no toilet and stuff, and I can't blame anyone because obviously there are people who are a lot more sick than me. Like I was considered lucky, basically. You go to the toilet, there's a bunch of shit stains. You can't shit, piss, whatever. 10 days, not once did they change my sheets and stuff. So stuff like this, but who cares at the end of the day, right? You know, I'm kind of glad the food sucked because I really lost a lot of weight. I looked like this in like 2016. Anyway, on Friday, I wake up and oh boy, my whole body, I looked like Deadpool, man. That's basically how my face looked, but my whole body looked like 10 times worse. Like literally the entire body. I got an allergy from antibiotics, so they stopped doing that. Few more days in the hospital and they finally released me because I told the doctor, look, I'm feeling fine, I don't have temperature, there's nothing wrong, I keep measuring it, I'm fine. And he was like, maybe you're right. So they finally released me. So it's all good, whatever. There's so much I could tell you, but does it even matter, right? I'm feeling good. I'm thankful that they patched me up. And it's not like I have a big scar. They basically have this technology, laser technology, I guess. So the only thing I had was like 3 small cuts and I'm pretty much healed now. That's it. The worst part for me was when I felt good and I still had to be in the hospital. Like literally. I was getting so bored, man. I watched every podcast and thankfully my wife visited every day. So when I wanted food, she brought me food, obviously. So that was all good. Man, I've missed everything, every corner. It even felt like my kid grew up in 10 days. Man, I realized how hard it is for me to talk in English about topics that I don't understand for shit. Anyway, just wanted to make this video to give you an update and, you know, to tell you that I'm really, really happy, lucky. Probably don't even deserve to have this kind of community. You know, the viewers, even content creators. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. Another big thing that I didn't talk about is the fact that for the past few months we've been working on a new studio. So basically, there's my house. A lot of people are working on my house, changing the roof and all that shit. And there's a separate apartment in my yard. So I decided to renovate it and basically it's now a big studio. There's a kitchen, there's a studio for me to record videos. There's no furniture yet, nothing like that. It's not ready yet. But basically, once I'll move to the studio, you're going to see a lot more videos because right now, obviously, there's a kid, there's a bunch of sounds. I don't want to be that kind of, you know, father who's like, stay quiet, I'm making a YouTube video about WWE Monday Night Raw. So this will make things a bit more easier and yeah, can't wait to record in a new studio. Great to be back. Thank you for your support over the years. Appreciate it. The great one. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.